Hey guys, how's it going? So just for another update, I haven't done one in a while. I've been working on all these crazy chaos, I suppose you could call them, or just random figures about 28 mil. A lot of them based on building on top of little army men. These type of really super cheap army men. I've done some live streams and they're a bit tricky to be honest with you, but I've kind of explained it there. But I said I'd do a follow up as well. These super cheap army men, I think the whole tub of them was, maybe €2 or something similar. And you get 50 of them in it, and I've just been building on top of them with hot glue and extra wire, and then going in with putty and having fun with texture, and then some casts as well for some detailed face, making some crazy weapons, using some oil paint. These guys, just sculpted from Fimo. That's Ariel Monsters. I don't know his name though. I can't remember his name, but yeah, he's a bit of fun. Just really to have some sort of team going through all of them that I can kind of unite them and put them on bases together like this, to have regiments, to have some kind of army, even if it's completely random shit. Like, do you know what I mean? This is kind of a classic Grim Reaper kind of fella, and that's just like a wet wipe for his cloak with some texture through it again. So I've got so many work in progress shots on my Instagram. I've really been neglecting kind of updating YouTube, but these guys are a lot of fun and super cheap to make really. So as you can see in the background, there's a lot of them at different stages of completion. So these guys are just about done. Need to put oil paint on them, oil washes, and then kind of just go from there. This guy was actually built on top of an Electabuzz little Pokemon figure. And this guy actually, I had a lot of fun with this guy. This is a sculpt from Fimo. And he's picking his nose there. If it's going to focus. I call him a snozzling because he's like a dirty goblin with a massive snoz. And he's naked as well. I can't help but make naked creatures. I don't know. I just get to the stage where I can put armor or clothes on him, and I usually say, nah, he's okay. Of course, he's better off going into battle completely naked. He actually, well, you probably can't see it, so I'm not going to mention it. But yeah, so literally, it's just making all sorts of crap, Well, crap, just from all sorts of bits and bobs. Like these are two little figures that I'm not even sure where I got, but I put them on top of each other. So in my mind, that counts as one guy. So it's two little devil fellas with just sculpted heads, and that's, we'll say, a duck figure from a play set with another head on the top, just for complete realm of chaos randomness, as well as having a lot of fun with textures and lots of crackle paste and all this kind of sand and all kind of either ash or powder and stuff like this for different size of gradients and that. And it just takes dry brushes and oil washes so well, you know what I mean? So some of them have had a bit of work, had to put a bit of thought into, like sculpting this guy's arms. They're not 100% accurate, but do you know what I mean? They're actually decently, in my mind, correct. Okay, maybe not. Don't look too close. This guy is some kind of poor worm creature. Not worm. What was I going to say? Snail guy. And his mouth was actually a blue stuff cast of a squig's mouth. And I've been having a lot of fun with these because squigs are, they're mostly maw, they're mostly mouth, and I'm using a lot of their mouths in some of these builds you might cop as well, just because they're so cool. They're so full of teeth. That guy's probably not my favorite, to be honest. But this is the first regiment here. It's 15 guys in this. I think if I can do another 15, which I think I already have to some stage, and I'll have a decent force built up already, with including the guys in the background. I'll show you a second. So I think this guy was one of the first I made as kind of an idea of how simple it could be. As you can see, like this is all just random colors on top of it. There's all rags and stuff on them that's different fabric or bits of wipe or bits of paper or something like that. And the head is one of the first casts I did with the blue stuff, which actually wasn't great. Then this guy as well, something similar built on top of the army man. Just I couldn't really tell you what this is. It's kind of a bit of an orc weird boy. He's got two boots hanging down here. I don't know why I did that. Orc weird boy. He's kind of orcish head. I think his head was a cast of like, like a really, I think Space Crusade orc head. And then I just redid his jaw to look mental, and gave him a new weapon and all this stuff. So he'll be another one in the group somewhere. Trying to get through them at a decent speed. So literally, I made these guys a good while ago. I probably showed them in another video, and it's really building off this kind of idea of like loads of texture and oil washes, and the paint job actually being really simple, but it's just a ton of texture there, and it looks, I think when they're all on the table together, super chaosy and super kind of disgusting and somewhat real, because the texture gets so small that it makes more sense at the scale in a way. It doesn't stop at a certain scale. So, there's too many things on the table. But anyway, right, so these guys are in painting stages as well. So you get all sorts of I couldn't even tell you. Just chaos, fellas, chaos dudes. This guy was built on top of the Army Man as well. But as you can see, there's a lot of either green stuff or green stuff and or hot glue. He's kind of got a Sonic look going on there. So that's, I think, cut offs of bits of vinyl flooring. His big sword there. This little guy was a Fimo sculpt. He's just like a little cute slash well-meaning demon fella. He's just a complete sculpt. Another little fat fella for some reason. That's a test of a little iguana figure I had. I think it was a Reaper Miniatures iguana that I did with the blue stuff. Let's see to see how he came out. He came out okay, and then he's got this little, what's say, he looks kind of like an alien, little head on him. Don't know if he's going to fit into the regiment because he looks a bit more like an animal more than anything else. But yeah, these start getting a bit crazy. They're not all the built on top of the Army men, but they all kind of come together in the end, I think, or they will once I put similar colors on them. So Pigman here, he's actually got the head of my nasty little grunt there from Ramshackle Games with a new kind of arm. See, that's actually a bit, and the legs are a bit. So I'm starting to kind of get a bit lazy here. You know what I mean? This guy is my nasty little grunt with a Chaos Cultist head from. It's the Frostgrave ones. I'm sure you recognize that one. That's a really popular kit. And this guy is built on top of the Army Men. I could have put a wash on these, we'd be able to see them a bit better, but we've got a load of texture on him. This guy's actually got an arse on his head, poor fella. And he's kind of trying to keep his tunic on top of himself because he's embarrassed and cover up his arse head. You swear I have a fetish or something, wouldn't you? But yeah, this guy is a big foot that I had left over from another build ages ago, and it had to happen. So he's got a head, so he's just a foot demon fella. And this one was actually my little boy's idea. I was going to do the hamster on the base by itself. It's just a little figure of a hamster I pulled out of somewhere, but he said, put the goblin on it, and he's right too. I gave him new legs. That's why his legs are so small. But he said, put the goblin on it. That's just a little Reaper goblin. This fella then is a poor. He was probably human at some stage, I'd say. And he's driven into battle to serve as chaos. Slave drivers probably, but same thing again. Just had a bit of fun sculpting a silly head and sticking it on a body, and giving him a crazy weapon. And then he's another one for the regiment, and because there's so much inspiration out there for I look at a mini online and I'm like, oh man, I could buy that mini, or I could just look at it and go like, I'm going to rob that idea and sculpt it, to an extent. This is another one I made the other day. Actually, I was surprised because inside of this is a shape I made out of PVA and tissue paper and let it harden years and years ago. And I had it in a box and I was like, why did I keep this? It's literally, well, you know what I mean? Why did I bother keep this? I could just make it again. But I put polymer clay over it and baked it to see if it would be useful as an armature. I could have just used tinfoil, but it was more of a test and it worked completely fine. So this guy's going to be another creature and have someone mounted on top of him to go along with these two guys in the back here for these cavalry unit. And the bases, I've gotten them around Easter, so they're just lovely oval. So that's the same size as that one. So that's going to be that unit. I'll maybe have 3 guys and I'll make another knight or someone silly on top of this, maybe a few goblins or something silly. And his head is a bit tentacle looking green stuff. So, and you can cook the green stuff in with the polymer clay fine as well because it doesn't get too hot. So that's him. I like his stance as well. There's a little bit of movement in it, you know what I mean? It's not too aggressive. And then flying back to the back here. Well, actually, I'll do these guys first. So I'm going to just fly through these. This is another one. What would you call this? A dragon ogre or something similar? Same thing again. The sculpt is just Fimo, or the head is just Fimo, and they're all bits. You might recognize them. They're abyssal dwarves from Mantic. They're a chest from a Mantic orc, or whatever they call them, and that's a dinosaur toy body. But I'd say for people that are looking to have a go at sculpting, this is pretty handy because you could kit bash bits of toys as well as figures or GW or whatever equivalent you have, and then sculpt a little bit on it, or sculpt an extra eye, or sculpt an ear, or sculpt flipping a tit hanging off. You know what I mean? Why not? And that'll be your practice sculpting. You know what I mean? So this guy is like some kind of scorpion man. So it's just built on top of an armature with a bead on top. I'm going to sculpt on top of it. It's getting a bit alien-y. It's getting a bit xenomorph, which is, I'm happy with that. I'm going to give him little claws. So these are nails as well. These are fingernails. And I'm going to give him another little, like, if this is the one pinchy bit of his claw, this is his other pinchy bit, so he can pinch. And then he'll be some level of a xenomorph as well. This guy is some kind of... the idea is that he's going to be a naked man, like wearing like a rabbit, like head costume. So I'll have to sculpt the rest, and that's why he's got some kind of strange anatomy, we'll say. He had a bigger sword as well, but it broke, so now he's going to have a little tiny broken bit of glass, it looks like at the moment. This guy is going to have a face in his chest, so that was a really quick and silly messed around with a bit of Fimo before I baked it. So that's baked, and then the arms are sculpted on, and then I'm probably going to sculpt the face over this. And so as you can see, like that's a popsicle stick for the shaft, I'd say, of the weapon, and a bit of cardboard and some super glue and some powder, baking powder, I think so. And so there's the legs of one of the army men. So it's really just building on top of it, and a lot of the form can come from hot glue, which I was very surprised how well things like green stuff actually adhere to hot glue. So that's something to really take into account, because as it goes, it's quite cheap. Like this guy as well, ostrich man or something similar. I think a whole regiment of these guys would actually be sick. So yeah, that's a dinosaur tail, but he's got a head on top of it. I think these will be funny out actually. I kind of like this guy, and I like how kind of earnest his head is, and he's there like, yeah, fuck it, like this is me, deal with it. This is my life. And he's got duck feet as well. Yeah, chaos. So that's going to be him. That's going to be another fella in the regiment. I feel like I already have another 15 easy. And then in the back here, I have some chariots, because chariots are cool. These guys aren't glued on yet, but onto the base. This is all cardboard or EVA foam and all sorts of fucking random things that I thought would make cool texture. And I think that might be hot glue, or I can't even remember what it is at this point because it's all covered up in crap and goop. The face is actually a cast, blue stuff cast again of the zombie giant from one of the Reaper Bones Kickstarters. And there's all bits and bobs here. That's actually from Potpourri. Those things that smell nice that people put in their sitting rooms, or things grannies put them in their sitting rooms for some reason. And this alien has got a lot of, not alien, I suppose he's a bug. He does look quite alien as well. Loads of sculpted on him. It went mad on his sculpting his underbelly, which is completely pointless considering you're never going to see it. But that's going to be on that base as a chariot, and make some kind of chariot driver. Driver, it would be a driver, yeah. Rider. Possibly with a big spear or something like that. Maybe two guys, but I'm not sure how it works. But that's going to be one of them. This is the next one. And you can see how bandy this is. Like, this is just cocktail, what would you call it, barbecue skewers, and completely wibbly wobbly wheels, which I think are going to be class. And this, obviously, poor woman here, this hag, having to hold on. She's going to be holding the spear here, and then her arm is going to be coming down and maybe holding on here. I'll see if I want to attach her permanently to it, and that's going to be her chariot. She'll be next in it, but that's going to be driven by or pulled by this chaosy fella, this chaos beast. So I just put loads of texture on this guy last night, and I really want to paint him already, just because all these little ball bearings or baubles or whatever, and texture paint and all the different crap on it. He's going to look cool. Or like I said, he'll take a dry brush and he'll just look class already, and won't have to do anything. He's going to be kind of pulling it along like that. And the mount is, this is what I'm saying, I've got this great workaround now where I can just blue stuff cast on someone else's sculpt and like recreate that sculpt, reproduce that sculpt, and then rob it and then just pop it in here, and you've got an extra bit. And I found that using epoxy sculpt in the blue stuff cast is great. The details come out really, really well, really crisp, like all the teeth and everything. I wasn't having great luck with green stuff for some reason. The next up, for the last of the chariots, is this one, a bit heavier duty. This one, so as you can see, it's popsicle sticks. Don't know what that is. Don't know where I found that. EVA foam, bits of cardboard, texture. That's all crackle paste, texture paints, spikes from somewhere, and little beads. And this will be attached somehow to whatever this beast ends up being. That's his face. That's his stand-in face for now. And he's going to be pulling that one, and then there'll be 3. A chariot unit, you know what I mean? Then to finish up, we've got some more of these. So I'm having a fair bit of fun just like throwing together things on these handles. So like I said, if you watch the streams, they're a bit chaotic, to be honest, like as if this isn't chaotic. But I was just messing around with things or trying to put paint on things, and maybe showing a few things off as well. So this is another chaos guy, more of a Zinch look with the bird, like let's see if I can focus it on this guy. But yeah, this is just another head, Fimo head, built on top of the body, and the body is still, let's say, wet, so I can build on top of that, and that'll be another one, so probably for a regiment. This one is another kind of snozzling kind of fella. I suppose he's kind of different than the first guy, because he does have the big nose, but he's got different dimensions. He looks a lot more evil than me. This guy looks a lot more just like he just wants to pick his nose and be left alone, apart from holding a big axe. But yeah, so another naked fella. I have to do his arms. I think I might give him a big club here and possibly like a bag of loot, but he's kind of that classic disgusting, strangely shaped goblin fella, and it's hard to make out because all the plays are different colors. Don't ask me why I did it, but I've done it. And then I'll say last up is this gnome, which will probably actually look quite out of place in this chaos army, but I think he's pretty good, like size wise. Like that's 28 mil Reaper fella. that I use for scale. Probably a bit heroic scale, to be honest, but this little gnome. And I did a shovel as well, so he's going to be holding his shovel, and the spade, the metal bit of the shovel will be in the ground, and he'll be holding the handle here, and he's going to be chilling. I don't think he'll go in the army. He did. I don't think I can put him in this crazy chaos army. But yeah, that's kind of basically what I've been working on. Like I said before, I try to post some kind of work in progress bits and bobs on Instagram and that if you want to have a look. But apart from that, let me know what you think. It's a quite freeing project, and it'll probably be something that I kind of dip in and out of and add a few guys to a unit or finish things up, or want to sculpt something silly or buy a crazy mini from a different company and pop them in some kind of unit. And I think just having them based up similar will be being able to use it someday, hopefully in the future, for some sort of game. But if not, look, they're completely separate. They can go and play a skirmish game, or you can go and rank them up and play a regiment game. Like Hobgoblin, I think is one coming up that I've heard people talking about. But I think I need to stop sculpting arses and start sculpting some pants. But look, let me know what you think, lads, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.